Hey everybody, so today I'm going to be showing you, we're going to be talking about blind hems, and I'm going to be doing a blind hem on a pair of women's dress pants. A blind hem is a hem that you cannot see the stitching on the right side of the fabric. So there's two ways you can do a blind hem. You can do it by hand, which I'm going to demonstrate today, and you can also do by machine, which I'm going to demonstrate on the other leg. So one hem I'm going to do by hand, the other I'm going to do by machine. Now we normally see blind hems on women's dress pants, men's dress pants. We see them on skirts. For the most part, we see them on skirts. Now, I'm going to give these, I'm sorry, for the most part, you see them on, well, pants, skirts, if that's the hem that you choose to do. But, so today what I'm going to do is I'm going to give these pants a 2-inch hem. And I would suggest that if you're going larger than a 2-inch hem, that you release the original hem, do your cutting, measuring, and then fold them up. But today, since these are a thin pair of women's dress pants, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna actually measure them 2 inches up and then just take that hem and fold it up and show you how I'll do the blind hem. And again, anything larger than a 2-inch hem, I would suggest releasing the original hem. And the reason why I'm not going to release the original hem and cut these is because, again, they are a thin dress pant. The material is not heavy, they're thin. And anytime I'm doing alterations, I don't really like to cut if I don't have to. So with a 2-inch hem for these type of pants, I don't have to cut. You just never know, your customer may want to bring these pants back down to 2 inches. They may want them longer than the 2-inch hem. So you just never know. So if all possible, if you don't need to cut, then don't. So again, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and measure and mark up 2 inches on these pants. So I'm just going to start at the original hem, measure 2 inches up, place a mark, and then I'm just going to go around the whole pant leg. Flip them over, same thing, 2 inches, 2 inches. And after I mark these, I'm going to pin them up and then take them over to my sewing machine. I'm going to take them over to my pressing board and I'm going to press that 2 inches. So here's my guideline that I'm going to use. And I'm just going to pin these in place. See my white chalk line right there. And I'm going to make sure that my side seams are even. Go ahead and place a pin there. And a good place to place your pins would be right at the, I would start at the side seams marking there and then go all the way around. All right, so now I'm good. So I'm going to go over to my pressing station and press that hem, press that 2-inch hem up. And then I'll be right back and we'll get started with the hand blind hem. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. What I've done is I've gone ahead and I've threaded my needle. For demonstration purposes, I will be using a white thread to show you. Now, if you were using a dark color, you could use a dark blue, or you can even use a black. And if you do the technique correctly, you will not see the thread on the right side of the pants. But today, for demonstration purposes only, I am using a white thread so that you can see. So go ahead and thread your needle and go ahead and turn your pants wrong sides out. Another thing is go ahead and get some beeswax and go ahead and wax that thread up. And let's go ahead and get started. All right, so what I like to do is I like to start hemming at the side seam. All right, so the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to just create a little anchor first. I'm going to try to hide this little stitch down, even though you really don't have to, because you really shouldn't. You're not going to see it, so, but I'm just going to create a little, because this is where I'm going to start my my blind hem at. So I just did that on the main pant leg. So the first thing that you want to do, well, the second thing that you want to do is you want to take your needle, and there's a fold right here. This is the fold, the original hem right here. We're gonna, right here where I put the, where I started the thread at, the hem at, I'm going to take it through that little fold, the little tunnel, and I'm just going through that single piece of fabric. And I'm going to take it all the way through that tunnel about the length of my hand needle. I'm going to bring it out. All right. Now, next thing I want to do is I'm going to just pull up a little tiny piece of thread from the fabric from the main pant leg. Now this is my main pant leg right here, and this is my hem, and I'm just going to take a tiny little piece of thread from that, bring it through. Now what I want to do is, to advance further, I'm going to start again here. I'm just going through the little tunnel, the little fold, I should say, and I'm taking my needle all the way through the length of the needle. And what that does is right here, where you see this at, that creates an anchor. So the pant leg is not pulling. It's almost like a little lock. So if you don't do it from right there, you'll see that your pants will be pulling, the hem will be pulling. So that kind of creates like a little lock right there. So now I'm right here. I've advanced a whole needle. So I'm gonna take up a little stitch from my main pant leg, which is right here, real tiny, because remember, we don't want to see this from the other side. Just taking up a little piece of that. Okay. Then I want to start here again to go through that tunnel. I'm just going through this, and I'm going to take that needle's length. And remember, I'm just taking it through the fold right there, just that little fold right there. Okay, so I'm advancing around the pant leg. Now I'm going to be again sewing, picking up a little stitch, a piece of little fabric from the main pant leg right at that little point, just a tiny bit. Okay, take this pin out. And again, I'm going to start right here. I'm just going through the fold, just that single layer of that fold. I'm going to take it the length of the pin, of my pin that I'm using. And that's just to keep everything even. So we'll have even marks all the way around. All right. I'm going to just pick up a little tiny piece of that. Start right at that point again. I'm just going through that fold of the hem, and I'm doing that the length of the pin. Okay. And I'm coming upon my other side seam, and then we just repeat this all the way around. Now again, this is a blind hem, and you should not see the stitching from the other side. Now again, I am using a white thread on a dark pair of dress pants, so we may see a tiny little white dot. Okay, we can take that pin out. So now I'm going to just draw up a little tiny piece of fabric from the main pant leg. Okay, now it's time to go through that little cuff, the little tunnel. And again, I'm going the length of my needle. And this, so that it looks professional. If you have a customer and they want to look at your hem, look at your work that you did, everything is spaced out the same. Looks professional. All right. Now I'm just taking up again a little piece of the main pant leg. Just a tiny bit. Then we're going to go through that tunnel. Just through that layer. At this point, I'm not going through the main pant leg, which is right there. I'm just going through that tunnel. And again, I'm doing it the length of my needle. All right, so let's look over on the other side. All right, now again, for demonstration purposes, I used the white thread, so you can see it a little bit. But again, if I were using a black thread or dark blue, you wouldn't see this. So you would continue to go all the way around. You would continue to go all the way around. And you see how nicely and evenly spaced these stitches are. And you would do that all the way around. After that, you would take this to your pressing station. You would turn your pants right sides out, and you would use a pressing cloth and press these stitches in. And what will happen is, once you give these like a really nice little steam and you put a pressing cloth over the pants, because you don't want to leave any steam marks on anyone's pants, what the steam will do is it'll shrink this little dot. It'll shrink the thread, and it'll kind of embed itself in the pants. So you won't be able to see it even more. All right. So that's a blind hem by hand. All right. So watch out for my next video so that I can show you the other leg doing a 2-inch hem by machine. I'm going to do a blind hem machine. I'm going to do a blind hem by machine. All right, don't forget to like this video. That is, if you like it, and I'll see you in the next video. All right, so one thing that that you do need to do that I forgot to mention is, when you've gone all the way around your pant leg and you've come back to where you started at, what you'll need to do is you'll need to lock your stitch. So here I am, I'm just, a needle width away. So what I'm going to do is this is going to be my last stitch. I'm going to take up that little piece from the main pant leg. I'm not going to pull it all the way through. I'm just going to take it through that little loop right there. And I'm just going to create a knot. That's a locking stitch. And what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to go through the fold and just do it one more time, just to secure it. And if you're a little OCD like me, you're going to do it one more time. do a locking stitch the third time. Okay. All right, and you're all done. And just go ahead and clip that off. And you are all done. Go ahead and give me all thumbs up if you like my video, and I'll see you in the next video. And just to give you a view of how this looks, here it is. Again, for demonstration purposes, I did use a white thread on a dark pair of pants, and you'll see these little dots. But again, if you do the technique correctly, using a dark thread for dark, for your dark pants or skirt, you will not see this. I'm going to take this over to my pressing station, and I'm going to give it a really good press. All right. Okay, everybody. So in this video, I'm going to be showing you a blind hem using my machine. Now, my other video, I showed you a blind hem using a hand stitch. Of course, the machine is going to be a little bit faster. So again, I'm not cutting any fabric off of this. I'm not going to release the original hem on these pants. What I've done is I've gone ahead and I've marked my 2-inch mark. And the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and fold these under at the hem mark, at that 2-inch mark. And I'm going to place a pin, but we actually should be starting at the side seam. And I'm going to fold at that 2-inch mark all the way around. So I'm just folding the pins up inside. All right. Making sure that side seam, making sure those stitches are lined up. And then once I finish with this, I'm going to take it over to my pressing station, and I'm going to press this hem. I'm going to give it a nice, good press. I'm also going to use my pressing fabric, because again, we don't want iron marks on someone else's pants or your pants if you're hemming them. All right, so I'm going to go over to my machine and press. I'm sorry, I keep saying that. I'm going to go over to my pressing station and press the new hem in. And then once I do that, I'm going to turn my pants wrong sides out. All right, and then I'm going to show you how I prepare these pants to go under the needle to do a blind hem on my machine. All right. All right, everybody, so I went ahead and I pressed my new hem, gave it a really good press, and I've turned my pants wrong sides out. The next thing I want to show you is how to prep your pants to go up under the needle for a blind hem stitch with the machine. And a lot of people get confused on this step right here. So I'm going to try to go as slow as I can. So I have my hem right here in front of me, and I'm going to start at the side seam, and I'm going to hold my hem in place. I'm going to hold it in place, and I'm going to take this pin out, and I am just going to fold the hem back. I'm going to fold it back, and I'm just going to leave about this much. This is probably about a 1/2 inch, and it'll just kind of like, it's about 5/8, so, which is good. So you're going to leave that amount out, and then I place a pin just to hold that in place, just to keep everything even. And then I'm going to do the exact same thing. I'm going to go all the way around. I'm holding my hem in place underneath. So I'm going to take this pin out, and I'm turning it under. See, I have it, and I'm turning it under. And then I'm going to place a pin right there. Same thing, I'm going to take my hem, and turn it under. I'm going to take this pin out, and I'm not moving my hem, and I'm just leaving this 5/8 of an inch out, because when I take it over to my machine, we're going to be using a blind hem stitch, which resembles a zigzag stitch. And if you don't have a blind hem stitch on your machine, then you could use a zigzag stitch. But I'll show you where your blind hem stitch is on your machine. And then I'm just going to place a pin there. Take this pin out. I'm still holding my hem underneath, and I'm just flipping it, giving myself a little bit of room, giving me that 5/8 right there. Then I'm going to put a pin there. Same thing here. All right, so this is how it should look to get it prepared to be machine stitched using a blind hem. All right, so now I'm going to go over to my sewing machine, and we're going to stitch this blind hem. Okay, so now I'm ready to hem my pants using my machine. All right, so the first thing that you need to do is go ahead and put your pants up under your needle. Go ahead and select the blind hem stitch on your machine. So for this machine, here is my blind hem one right here. It's that little stitch that goes to your left, and it has some stitches in between. And then it goes to your left. So for this stitch, I'm going to set the length all the way to 4, because I don't want the stitches to be really close together. So I'm going to set the stitch length to 4. I'm going to use my blind hem stitch. So this little zigzag right here, it's actually going to come over, and it's going to catch the hem right here. Then it's going to sew straight lines here. Then it's going to catch the hem here, and that's going to be the little dot that you saw when I hand stitched. That's the equivalent to that. So it's going to catch the hem, stitch a line, catch it, stitch, and then that's it. That's all we're going to do all the way around. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so now the foot that I'm just using my regular all-purpose foot for this hem. I'm using the little part that we left out, that I said that it was about 5/8 of an inch. I'm going to use that I'm going to put my presser foot up and use that as a guide. And then I'm just going to go ahead and sew all the way around. So I'm just making sure that I keep the end of my foot lined up with this little piece of fabric right here, this little fold right here. So I've come all the way around to where I started. I'll take that off. And of course, again, I used white thread for demonstration purposes only. Take all these pins out. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn my pants right sides out. And ahead and pull them. And you'll see, and then what I'll need to do is I'll need to go and give these a good press. That you see, here's my blind hem, and then this is how it looks on the inside. So again, if you are using a dark color, like a dark blue, the same color as the fabric that the pants that you're hemming or the skirt that you're hemming, if you do the technique correctly and use the same color thread, and once we take this to the ironing board and press it, you will not see these little tiny pieces of thread from the blind hem. All right, so I hope you enjoyed this video. Give me a thumbs up, and I'll see you on the next video.